Hey, you like cars? Man, you know what time it is. And if you're looking at the video, you're probably like, what happened to your setup? What's going on? Listen. We're moving things around. I've been busy. I didn't get to it. I should have did it much earlier. I didn't do it earlier, but life goes on and we continue the pod, even though it's late. Like this week, like I said, schedule's been a lot going on, but I'm still here and I'm still going to deliver the podcast because it's what I love to do. So before we get going, hold on. I know I know stuff ain't where it needs to be, but I do got the main pieces. Okay. And that is the clapper, episode 105, CarQuicks Podcast. It's your host, it's Cameron Biggs. I'm here once again. How are y'all doing out there? How are your friends, your loved ones, your children, your family, all of that? Hope it's doing well. Hope you're blessed. Hope things are going your way. And for the things that are not going your way, that we're getting over those obstacles, because that's all they are. They don't stop the journey. They're just little bumps in the road. Now, let's get down to something. And like I said, I'm just going to reiterate. If you're looking at the video portion of this, you're wondering where the heck I'm at. I moved the setup. I didn't finish it. I got an empty shelf behind me. Still got the CarQuicks branding. Got the CarQuicks name up there. You know I got that. But everything else isn't there. But we're going to change things up. And so that's what we're working on now. But today we're going to talk about some cars, okay? And there's a lot that's been going on this week because it was Monterey Car Week. So I'm going to drive right into that. I'm driving right into it because there are some highlights there and highlights that I want to talk about. The gentleman I want to talk about the most when it comes to the Monterey Car Week, to me, the person that kind of won the whole thing, even though there was other events going on, I think the person that won the Quail or the Monterey Car of the Week was a gentleman that had an F50 GT, which, I mean, listen, the F50 for me is the one. I love an F40. I love Enzo's, a lot of Ferraris, even the new F80. But the F50 is the one. And he had an F50 GT, which is the rarest of rares, like 3 of them in the world. They weren't even really sanctioned to be built. And if you have one, it means that you were in the right place at the right time with the right connections and a lot of money. Now, the reason I mentioned that is because what I say for myself personally, the person that won Monterey Car Week from a standpoint of releasing and showing off a car was Mr. Gordon Murray. Okay. The gentleman behind the world famous, the infamous McLaren F1, the gentleman behind the latest iteration of very analog supercars, the T50 with the V12 from Cosworth that redlines at like 11,000 RPMs. Well known for his design choices that are somewhat controversial because in the rear of it, it has that big fan that was built not under the idea, but it was built because it was talking about downforce pulling from the car and keeping the overall styling of it still looks good to me, even with the fan, like kind of design element in the rear. But the overall look of it still looks good. It's purposeful. I don't want to say it's ultimately like a beauty contest winner, but it has its purpose. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is a vehicle that he had designed and commissioned for a special gentleman. That vehicle that we're referring to is, and I'm looking up on the screen, so if you see my head turn when I'm in this video, that's what I'm doing. I'm turning my head. The S1 LM. Look at this picture here. I'm going to throw a picture up on the screen. Again, follow the channel, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, but Spotify specifically because if you want to watch this video and support this channel, support this pod, that's where we do it, and on YouTube as well. So like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Now, let's get back to this. When I saw a picture of this S1 LM, I immediately was like, this is the most fire new bespoke concept supercar hypercar that has come out. Now, yes, of course it does show resemblance to a McLaren F1. It's the gentleman that designed it is making something that a customer commissioned, which was basically the new iteration of today's time, a McLaren F1 GTR, like an LM1 or something, just the ones that were from the past. What would that look like in 2025? And they deliver. I don't even know. If you don't like this car, I don't know what to tell you. Like, there might be some people, I saw a comment or two that said, just a remodeled F1. It's nothing new. But Yes, it is new. Now, yes, you can immediately tell that that's based off of McLaren F1, but I feel like at this point in time, especially when you're talking about a car like the McLaren F1, which is so rare, so highly sought after, so expensive, and it's been a very long time that it's been out, we can start doing these reimaginings of those type of cars. And I think honestly, if you have the money to commission Gordon to say, "Hey, make me something," this is the way you do it. Now, these aren't called Gordon Murray cars. It's actually called the Gordon Murray Special Vehicles. He's doing something unique where any one of these cars that you want to have built, he will go ahead and do it for you. Meaning, if you have the money, and I mean absurd amounts of money, meaning like for instance, last week I talked about, or a few times I talked about, if you have unlimited funds, the world is your oyster when it comes to cars. There's no shortage of multi-million-dollar cars that you can get. This is a prime example of just having unlimited funds and getting something that no one saw coming. So when he released this, nobody knew this was coming to Monterey Car Week. I didn't. There wasn't even a hint, anything like that. But let's talk about a little bit about the specs. So they did give some couple morsels in there, right? One of them is the V12 that was in the T50, the one that was built by Cosworth, which was like a 4-liter V12 that redlines like 11,000 RPMs, has been bored out to 4.3 liters. The red line has increased itself to 12,100 RPMs, and the horsepower is now at 690 horsepower. This is going to sound absolutely glorious. They didn't talk about the weight because, like I said, this is a very bespoke car. And when I mean bespoke, to the highest degree, they're only building 5 of them. And the rumor is, or it may not even be a rumor, what I have read is that the person who commissioned this to be built bought all 5. Just put that in perspective of how much this costs. If the T50 is $3 million and you're looking at this custom, ground up bodywork, interior, we're talking about $6 to $10 million, if not more. If this isn't 10 million, I'll be stunned. But I will not be surprised they say this is like 10 to $15 million as far as how it took to build something like this. Now, speaking about the interior though, this interior is absolutely fire. Just the center seating position, as you know, Gordon is known for that seating center position, passengers on the side, but just the stitching, the dashboard, just the fact that this is still a manual, like he is still on that analog experience, and that person who commissioned is obviously one of that too. But just the way the seats look from this preview picture, the dashboard, the steering wheel, the headphones you get for being when you're in the car to talk to the passengers, people around you. I mean, just man, this car is certified. Like this is one of the reasons why I want to go to the Monterey Car Week, which I will get there. I'll probably go next year. And for that reason, is to get to like the quail and to do the things of looking at these events, to see these type of announcements, to see these type of reveals, because this is absolutely amazing. Now, on top of that, that wasn't it. He actually had another vehicle too that was commissioned, and this was based on the T50 as well. Same 4-liter V12 motor, but this was a Le Mans GTR type of vehicle, and you see right here. This one was more so in line with trying to realize what I guess these type of Le Mans race cars would be at this time and age based on the T50. This was also commissioned by one person who bought all 25. Now, the person who bought them is like kind of a dealership or like I would say a concierge for car collectors to get certain cars. So obviously they might taken them all to then distribute them out to their customers or their clients. However, equally as sick as far as the bodywork goes. I love how this one looks. Very much looks like a LMP1 race car or something like that. That's what this looks like. And they didn't talk much about the power, but if it has a 4-liter V12, we're talking about at least 600 horsepower. We know it's going to be very lightweight. And we know it's going to be analog. It's going to be back to that era of like just engaging into those type of cars. And so when I saw this, I said, Gordon won. I made a post on Instagram and said, stop playing with Gordon because he's not playing. And I like the T50. I like the T33. The T50, they had a T50R. They showed at the Goodwood Festival Speed. Then this S1 LM, which is a perfect name. It's like the F1. Yes, we know it. It lands and it pulls homage from that. But this looks incredible. But that wasn't the only thing there. Monterey Car Week is also a special place for just a variety of vehicles. So there's a couple standouts that I liked. One of them was from Ring Brothers. And if you know who the Ring Brothers are, if you've just been around hot rodding, cars of that nature, their name is synonymous with some of the greatest hot rods, ground from the ground up custom builds. And they did it again. They did it again. This time they went with an Aston Martin DBS from 1971. Now, before I get into how much it was left, because this is a restomod, right? Basically, take an idea from the past. We're going to add new features, new design, new language, but I'm going to read you a paragraph to kind of show you what was left of the original DBS. They said the original components left on the car are the power window switches. That should give you an idea of how much went into crafting this wide, low-slung looker. The chassis comes from Roadster Shop, and dimensionally, the Restomod is 8 inches wider up front, 10 inches wider at the back, longer altogether as the front wheels are moved up 3 inches, and then it gets this kind of stance you see here. That was a paragraph I pulled from the drive.com, the article I was reading on this car. That tells you, which is hilarious, that the fact they said is based on a 1971 DBS, which it is. You can see the resemblance of it in this picture. But they only left the window switches. Basically meaning every single body panel, headlight, grille, everything you see here, custom. 12,000 hours. Man hours. And you know, Ring Brothers, just checking out this interior. The way this looks, this peanut butter, this leather, the stitching, the carbon fiber, the aluminum, the chrome, even the shift knob. You see how that's built? That's all custom built. You can't buy that. You can't go anywhere to get it. You know, they were using people that were good with metal, hand putting stuff together, stitching this thing. Everything is bespoke. So when they say 12,000 man hours of putting this together, I'm not surprised. I've seen these cars at SEMA in person, and pictures you think when you see it in person maybe won't look as glorious because maybe this is just kind of a heightened picture, modified and edited in Photoshop. No. Mm-mm. When you see Ring Brothers cars in person, it's even more impressive. I'm hoping that this is going to be at SEMA. I made a post on Instagram. I said, I hope this is at SEMA so I can see it in person. So the motor on this, it's a 5-liter Ford Coyote engine, 805 horsepower, supercharged, 6-speed manual, 19-inch wheels on the front by 11, 20 by 13 in the rear, 14-inch Brimbos. Just basically what you can expect on the idea of a DBS in this time, with kind of that American flair, the European side of the sophistication when it comes to the interior. I don't know who the owner of this is, but this type of idea, and I do wonder if it comes to the point that somebody bring them a render, or do they bring them the idea and then they just flesh it out amongst those 12,000 hours and we get to this result right here that we see on the screen. I do wonder if the person comes to them with an idea saying, I have an idea to take a DB7, resto mod it, give it more power, and then introduce modern ideas, modern looks, better stance, wider, lower, and then they say, okay, we're going to do all this. Regardless, this is called the Octavia. That's the name of this vehicle they have here. Based on a 1971 DBS, there's only one. Whoever commissioned it is the owner of this. It's not like they're about to make a few of these. At least I don't think so. And Ring Brothers, they don't. They make one and they move on to the next thing, because clearly this took them, since SEMA was done last year, they've probably been working on it all the way up until now to debut something on there as well. And they might have multiple vehicles they're doing at the same time. The Octavia looks absolutely fire, but we're not done yet. We're not done. We have more. Another highlight for me specifically was Lexus. Now, normally Lexus isn't at Monterey Car Week. They're not at the Quail revealing anything, because you would just suspect that they're going to reveal a SUV and people are just going to be like, that's not what I came here for. However, they did show off what they're calling the Lexus LFR Supercar. Now, if we all know that Toyota's been running around with two low, long nose, long front, short rear supercars, basically. I say sports cars, but these are probably going to end up in the supercar realm as far as how much power they have and the cost. But we know they're powered by V8. We saw them at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. We've seen them on the Nürburgring. So there is most likely a version from Lexus coming, because if Toyota's going to make it for them, it wouldn't be a hard idea to believe that Lexus could have something that can replace the now outgoing LC 500s. And obviously the LFA, as we all know, the infamous, famous one. Not that it can replace what that has become now, but the idea of it moving forward. So the LFR supercar, I love how this looks. This man, if this is landing at a Lexus dealership, I mean, I wish I had the funds. This is clearly 150,000, if not more, and I might be shooting low on the 150, but it's over 100. Clearly, I'm willing to say it's over 150,000. We're looking at $200,000. Now I know in the realm of Lexus, that might seem kind of crazy, but I mean, if you really sit back and think about how much like an LX 600H is, and how much some of these SUVs are that cost 90, 100,000, we're not far from that. If this comes in at 170, 80,000, I'll be like, that's exactly what I would suspect, considering that if it was gonna land in the range of like the AMG GT, well, BMW doesn't have anything in that realm that matches up to this type of car. But if you're thinking about that, if you're thinking about Porsche 911s, we're not far off. We're right in line with what they're going to be priced at. The interesting thing about this concept, though, and they call it like a concept prototype, which usually when Lexus and Toyota does this, we're basically staring at what the car is going to look at. Save for a small few details, maybe the side view mirrors that look like they're cameras don't become cameras. Maybe they become something else. But one of the unique things that I've been looking at the design of it is, now the Toyota ones look like they're front engine or front mid engine rear wheel drive. This Lexus concept, with the way the vents look like in the front of the hood, with the way the rear of it looks like it has large intakes on the side, the way the rear hatch has what looks like almost heat extractors, or I'll reading the drive.com again. They said it looked like it was a drone in the back, but there's some type of cover back there. The way the exhaust is sitting under the spoiler, which is a very unique design choice. I don't know if that's a functional choice, because if the spoiler isn't up at all times and the exhaust is just hitting against the spoiler, and maybe it's hitting against it even when it's up, and I don't know. It just was an interesting choice. It looks like it's rear wheel drive. It looks like it's rear engined. Like the motor is in the rear. That's what it looks like, which is unique because that would be a first. Now, Toyota has been talking about a mid-engine MR2, and maybe Lexus benefits and gets some of that mid-engine to push it further into that kind of exotic territory. But given how the front air intakes and look like heat extractors on the hood look, I'm like, doesn't look like a motor's in there. And it looks like it's in the back, given those like kind of buttresses they have in the rear and what it looks like an air intake coming in. Now, it could just be obviously for aerodynamics, and the motor could still be in the front, but kind of be more midship, like a Ferrari 812 or the new 12. I say the name wrong all the time. I say cylindry, and that's not how you say it, but I forgot how you pronounce it. But those are front engine, mid engine, kind of like it's pushed back behind the front axle. However, regardless of whatever this comes out to be, this Lexus one looks absolutely fire. This is a massive upgrade over the LC. Not that the LC is a bad car. It is very good. It's a Grand Tour. This one kind of pushes that forward without kind of falling into the development prices and costs they had to do for the LFA. The LFA stands on its own, but this is a really nice successor to that idea, the LFR. And we don't know if it's related closely to what the Toyota's doing, because there were articles that were showing both the Toyota concept and this, and there are big differences in the front end as far as how it looks. But we think that it's based on the same chassis, because I would be highly surprised if Toyota made two bespoke vehicles. I'll say this: if Lexus is going to be different, then it's going to be them introducing like a hybrid or electrification into it to up the horsepower, or to just introduce some more grand touring aspects. Get 30 miles on electricity, you can cruise over here, no engine. Then if you want to get into the power, you can. I can kind of see them doing that, and that might be where they're headed. But there was more, okay? Lexus wasn't the only person there going crazy. Guntherwerks. Now, let me tell you something. Guntherwerks, we already know. If you have, again, back to having unlimited funds, if you got the money to get a Porsche 911 reimagined from either Singer or Guntherwerks or any other car reimagined, these are some of the best people in the business, some of the best cars you can do. They did something that was based on one of my favorite 911s, which was like the Slantnose, 935 Slantnose. Now, I know I say that, and there have been other modified Slantnose 911s from the past all the time. Saying that kind of gives us a disservice, because what they've done here from this picture, as you can see, the wide body, the giant whale tails type spoiler in the rear, the front fenders, how wide they are, the like diffuser aspects of the front bumper to the side, to the wheels, and then to this interior. Man, if there's when Guntherwerks and Singer, like their interiors just stop me in my tracks. I'm always like, man, you want to talk about detail? I always say that if I ever had the means or if I get to the means to have one of these cars, the interior is probably where I'm going to spend all of my time. Because picking a color can take a lot of time too. But these interior, like these details of like nailing what you are looking for. But as you can see here, this is very motorsport driven. And there's a reason why. This is powered by a 1,000 horsepower, 750 pound-feet of torque flat six through a 6-speed manual. Turbos in the rear, as you can see, called the F26. 1,000 horsepower and a 2,700 pound 911. Let me tell you something. You better know what you're doing, okay? Because we're under 3,000 pounds with 1,000 horsepower. The motor's in the rear, 750 foot-pounds of torque. Yes, it has massive tires in the rear. Yes, it has massive tires in the front. But if you hit a corner and you think that you can just stomp on the gas, you're going to find out in a bad way, okay, what this car can do. They didn't talk about the price point, but you already know. You know exactly what Guntherwerks is about. This is over $1 million. This is probably $3 million, if not more. And they're only building 26 of them. So if you are somehow in the realm of this price point, give them a call because 26 of them, they probably already wiped out half the allotment at Quail already. People probably already walked up there because if I was in Quail with money like that, trust me, I'd have been knock on the door like, yeah, go ahead, sign me up for one. Let's go ahead and start getting together these ideas because I would right there be with this because this looks absolutely fire. There was something funny I read in an article on thedrive.com. I was written by a gentleman named Andrew P. Collins. He took out the fact that the front end of this looked like a Mazda Lantis or like the 323F. Funny observation because I was looking at these headlights trying to figure out where I've seen them from, but he was absolutely right. It does kind of look like this little Mazda right here. It doesn't take away from the car. It's just a funny observation about the headlights. Regardless, this thing looks incredible. Guntherwerks complete bespoke resto mod rectification reimagination, as they say, reimagining the 911, as they say. So it looks incredible. And so that was my highlights from Monterey Car Week. Even though I was looking at videos and pictures on Instagram of other cars on the road and other cars around, like the F50 GT. They have the Concours the Elegance, which I forgot what car won that one. I can't even pronounce the name of it, but it was a very old car, I think from like the 1930s. But overall, though, I am going to get to the Monterey Car Week because I do like that event. And just being able to see all those cars around. I don't know if I want to necessarily drive amongst the chaos of getting to all these events. But if there was one thing I would go to, would be the Quail just to see everything there. And there was a few other ones that I didn't mention. Like actually, I'll mention one more. That was Lamborghini. Lamborghini actually showed off a new vehicle. Lamborghini actually showed off a car that was based on the Revelto, but it's a special edition one, similar to what they've done with like the SVJ and the SVs and all those things, even though those probably are still coming out for the Revelto. But they brought out a Lamborghini that was called the Fenomeno. Now, I know I listened to the video, the gentleman saying his name multiple times. He said Fenomeno. Okay, now my brain said phenomenon because as he was saying it, I was like, what is that saying? Clearly, it's based off another bull, another fighting bull. I don't know the whole story behind it, but it's based off that. And they're only building 29 units of this car. Now, I will give this to Lamborghini all the time. They know exactly how to aim at their clients. They know exactly what they like. I like this. This is dope. My son saw this and he's going to be like, yo, that's absolutely fire. He's going to geek over that more than the Guntherwerks because I'm a geek out about the Guntherwerks one just because I like how it looks and the restomod idea of it. He's going to look at this and be like, no, that's the one. Even though this looks incredible as far as just Lamborghini, their aggressive nature, especially in this bright yellow color. But one of the interesting things is 1,065 horsepower is the power, 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds. They're only building 29. And I'm sure each one of them is north of $2 to $3 million to get one. And it's just a special edition one to kind of just bring in something special for that model, bring some bespoke additions to the Revelto as they continue its production. Interior, though, I liked a lot. And I can't the way they have these seats look dope. The stitching, the yellow, it's just an overall dope looking Lamborghini again. And top speed 217 miles an hour. Over that, probably like 218 to 220. So what the CEO has said about this car, and I'll read it for you. He said, Lamborghini once again presents an incomparable super sports car in the limited edition. The combination of the most powerful V12 in our history, the 1,065 horsepower, breathtaking design, superior aerodynamics, and cutting-edge technology such as extreme lightweight construction makes the Fenomeno the most extraordinary sports car of our time. Now, the name again is spelled Fenomeno, Fenomeno. That's basically what I heard, okay, in case somebody wants to correct me, because I had some comments sometimes. So, like, it's not how you're supposed to say it. You're supposed to say it like this. Listen, that's what I heard, okay? It's pronounced another way. I'm not Italian, so I don't have the little flair on it. But other than that, it's what you can expect from Lamborghini when it comes to taking their known chassis and adding some special model on it. If there's something about Lamborghini to know, they know how to finesse a chassis. That's for one thing. Lamborghini will take that. They took that Aventador chassis and they did everything you can possibly do. Okay, all the way to a Countach. Okay, they've done it all. So on the Revelto, the fact that this is brand new, the fact that it just got introduced, they're going to be doing the exact same thing all the way through. Now, getting into some other news, right? To wrap up that Monterey Car Week, those are my highlights there, and I'm missing a ton. So if you haven't watched the footage of Monterey Car Week or seen the articles, go on Car and Driver, Motor Trend, Road and Track, The Drive, Auto Blog. They're going to give you a list of some of the announcements that were made, because that's only a taste of the amount of vehicles that were coming out left and right there. They even had Hennessey Motorsports, because I'm in Texas. I'll shout them out. They showed off a new Venom F. It's called the Venom F5, I believe it was. Yeah, it was another Venom F5, a one of one, another one of their hypercars. Uniquely though, and as you can see in this picture here, very dope color scheme. I think the gentleman that owns this lives in Houston. It's a one of one based on the Venom F5. As you can see, dope color scheme. Very good vision on that. The nice gold brownish exterior with the carbon fiber brown type of interior. However, the thing that had made the headlines is this has 2,031 horsepower. That's absolutely nuts, okay? But besides the 2,031 horsepower that comes from 6.6 liter twin turbo V8 that we've known that they've had in the F5, it's a manual. Listen, this is drag racer territory now, okay? And unlike drag racers that have parachutes and super sticky tires on prepared surfaces, we're talking about a road-going hypercar with over 2,000 horsepower, made it through a 6-speed manual. Man, even when Hennessey went up there at the Quail when they showed this off, and he said, like, this takes balls to drive and balls to own. If he's saying that and he's driven it, and I saw a little video of him driving it around, when I say he was babying this thing, because how do you smash on that 2,000 horsepower when you're not just dead straight on a runway? Like any mountain road, any twisty, curvy road, can't be doing that. You cannot just hit gas with 2,031 horsepower and hope for the best, okay? You're going to need to get trained by the best of them. But I do like the idea. I like the idea of just doing the extreme of these analog hypercars. There's more and more of them now. Like I said, Monterey Car Week, there was multiple ones announced that these analog cars that have manual transmissions, high revving motors, high horsepower. And like I said, if you have the money, it's like now you can basically create the dream cars that we had as children, the dream cars you had as a kid, the idea of something. You don't have to wait for Ferrari or McLaren or Lamborghini to make it. You can now just reach out to people and say, hey, we got all the facilities, we got all the engine builders, we got all the chassis builders. Make me this. And this is kind of like what they did for this one. So this one of one from Hennessey, this Venom F5, another outrageous car with 2,031 horsepower and a manual transmission with no top. That's just crazy. Have the top off, who's scoop behind you, shifting gears to 2,000. That must be incredible. Now, getting into some other news. This is hilarious, because I knew that we would get to this point, or I knew that there would be hints of us getting to this point when it comes to manufacturers, because listen, they're going to try whatever they can to get to the bread. They're going to try whatever they can to get to the money, and that's just what they do. They're for-profit businesses. Volkswagen made headlines because they are charging a subscription for more horsepower. So, yes, they're charging a subscription for more horsepower. Let me break this down to you real quick. For $22.30 a month, your ID3, which is only based in the UK, we don't have them here in the US, but think small hatchback like GTI, or like the other ID series, but think like a compact one of their full electric vehicle. For $22.30 a month, you can get an additional 27 horsepower, or for $878 permanently unlock it. So $22 a month for 27 horsepower, or give them near $900 and they'll unlock it permanently. Here's where it gets interesting. Here's where the controversy comes. Volkswagen does make good cars. They make stuff that is good, but there are some times when companies do these type of actions where you guys just got to call it out for what it is. And this is just sounds like a money grab in a market that was looking for inexpensive, which it makes it even worse. If this was high-end luxury concierge services, if they were like, listen, it costs $50 a month if you want us to do X, Y, and Z for you while you have the car and all these things, and it's like a luxury car that costs a certain price point, it kind of comes with the territory. Those people are used to spending money on services so that they can make their lives quote unquote easier. But this one is kind of funny because it's aimed at the cheapest car they have, and it's not cheap. The ID3 costs $41,770. Looks like this small little hatchback. So $42,000 for this, and you come out of the dealership with only 201 horsepower. To make matters worse, it's advertised as having 228 horsepower. You have to register it having 228 horsepower, but you only come out of the dealership with 201 horsepower unless you pay for the subscription. And they talked about the fact that this is actually affecting insurance premiums in the countries that this car is sold, because the insurance is saying you have 228 horsepower. Not that I don't know what the difference would be between 228 and 201, but maybe there's a discount because they're like, hey, you're getting a little crazy with that 228. But 201, you're chill, you're cool. But the fact that you register it at the power it's supposed to have, whatever you're paying there means that you should have that power. It shouldn't be locked behind a paywall. In addition, your torque goes up from 195 to 228 foot-pounds of torque. Now, there is another variant of the ID3 called like the GTX, which is like the most powerful sporty version, which has 320 horsepower. That costs $21,000 more. Now, if they're doing it on the 228 horsepower model, I can't imagine that they don't have some special, do you want 350 horsepower? We do it for $35 a month, or $1,500 for one payment, and you can have 350 horsepower. And so the reason why this is making news, or the reason why there's outcry about it, is because it's just unnecessary. Like when BMW had the subscription for heated seats, it was like, why? Why are we making the barrier of owning a car any more burdensome than it already is to pay the car note, to pay insurance, to maintain it, to have it, to drive it, to park it? We want to add on more. And it's funny because when you see that, I always wonder, it's like you sit in front of these companies, you say, how much more money do you need? Like, you telling me that you're going to advertise a car at 228 horsepower in an electric car, and you want to hold 27 horsepower behind a paywall? Because it's not enough money to even warrant this. If they were charging like $5,000, I'd be like, well, they're really trying to get to the bag. $878 is like more of a slap in the face. It's like, this ain't even nothing to y'all. This is not helping your bottom line. Whatever you have to take care of, whatever businesses and other expenses and overhead you have to take care of, this $22 a month ain't doing nothing. And neither is the 878. I suspect that as time goes on, if they got people to agree to just continually pay $22 every month, hand over fist every single time, then they would just come up with money at the very far end of it. But I would find that even more disrespectful because there's nothing else to it. It's not like it's $22 and you get free, I don't know, insurance discount, roadside, I don't know, free sandwiches every Tuesday, like something. Change the tires for me, rotate them. Not that that isn't included with dealership maintenance packages or just free in general for a lot of cars. But I mean, you just want to give me $22. I get 27 horsepower and that's it. I bought the car and you said it had 228. I didn't know that it was 228 if you want to pay extra. Now imagine the future, because if they get this to even work even a little bit, it's going to happen everywhere else, or more people are going to try it. And especially with electric cars, it makes it more of an area that they can subscribe or make subscription models on this, because they look at a lot of people look at electric cars like tech pieces. So they think about like apps and the way you get phone upgrades and where you buy different phones. And so if they approach it like that, they're going to look at this and say, okay, you want the Volkswagen GTI Sport. It comes with 300 horsepower. However, if you want the full 320 that we advertise, you're going to have to give us an extra $30 a month or pay us that $1,500 up front. Or if you want 400 horsepower, the Golf R, we can change out the wheels, give you the little front lip and the front bumper change, but then you're going to give us $60 a month, or you're going to pay us $3,500 up front. Like that's just the road we're headed down with the idea of a subscription. There's no need for a car to have a subscription unless you're talking about navigation, Sirius radio, Sirius radio, or satellite radio, or something like that. If you have a navigation system that is asking you for kind of concierge services, which I've talked about in podcasts before, even though I was saying like that's kind of unnecessary when you have your cell phone, but if you're gonna do something, where is the value? If the value was only the horsepower that you said the car had, then man, that sucks. Like if you're an ID3 owner and this is what they've come up with to just make your life just more miserable. It's like you're not adding to my life. They didn't say, hey, we're giving y'all a little bonus, we're giving y'all a little money off, or helping y'all out. They're just adding to the burden of life and bills on top of you. Now I got to pay $22 to get 27 horsepower. Foolishness. Now, talking about horsepower, we are going to talk about Shelby. Now, Shelby showed off the Super Snake R. Now, before we get any further, Shelby has, I've come to understand that they have basically a foundation. The foundation is kind of like Dark Horse, supercharged 5.5 liter Coyote V8, 800 horsepower, 850 horsepower. That's the basis. Everything else after that is what makes the Shelby what it is. Because the previous Shelby that we talked about, I don't know what episode that was, but I said, listen, I can go and build an 800 horsepower Mustang for way less. Now it's about to get even crazier. The Super Snake R costs $224,000. Now, the fact that the GTD is out and it costs $325,000, the headlines for this is going to say $100,000 less than the GTD, and the fact that we got Mustangs that cost $300,000 probably makes this like a acceptable number now. The GTD, I give a pass because that is bespoke, built by Ford Racing, GT3, race car on the road. Totally different than modified Mustang supercharger with the amount of horsepower. The Super Snake R, though, because it's based on that same platform that Shelby has built, this one does have, as you can see in the picture, does have a wide body on it, bigger tires, more track oriented, bigger rear wing, bigger front splitter. I mean, I like how it looks. I'm not going to knock the looks. I love it. It looks aggressive. It looks dope. I just don't know if $225,000 worth of modified Mustang is enough. The GTD is, again, separate. They've done a lot more than just add aero kits and aero pieces and wheels and a supercharger. But the overall package, though, I will give Shelby this: clean. This wide body is one of the best ones that I've seen on this new Mustang. Obviously, the power is great because you got 850 horsepower. And if you wanted to roll your own gears, the GTD is not going to allow you to do that. This will allow you to get in 6-speed manual. The interior is standard, Mustang GTD, not Mustang GTD, it's standard Mustang GT, Dark Horse fare, as far as the interior goes. The price tag is just something, like I said, you're going to have to be a Shelby aficionado, especially when it comes to the price tag on this. And I think they'll build enough of them. It weighs 4,000 pounds. It's 116 pounds heavier than a Dark Horse, but it has 350 horsepower more, so it's not like you're going to feel that weight penalty. And it's more track focused, so obviously it's supposed to perform better. They didn't track test it. They're just showing it off. They didn't see what it performs next to a Dark Horse or even maybe a GTD. That'd be a cool story. That'd be a cool article. Take a Mustang GTD, take the Shelby Super Snake, stick them on a track, and see what they do. Because if the Super Snake even gets close, Ford going to be like, you know what? No, we're not having this. Okay, we're back to the drawing board. But that would be a cool article to see. Now, getting back into some other news that came out before we wrap this up. Acura showed off the RSX Prototype. Now, if we all know, I've talked about it before. The RSX is not the sport compact car we have known and loved from years past. It is now an SUV. It's an electric SUV. I know. I mean, it just, what can I say? Like I've told before, these nameplates that we hold dear to our hearts, these shareholders in these companies, they do not care. And SUVs was selling, and Acura has a Type S, the Integra Type S, thankfully. Yes, it would have been cool to have a coupe RSX in the mix, like how Toyota has a GR86. But unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. I mean, it would have made even sense if they copied the Honda Prelude and made an RSX, but I digress. Anyways, this is what it looks like, the prototype. Now, putting aside my love for the RSX in its sport compact form, this doesn't look bad. The front end is kind of a little beakish, like almost like bird-like. It's a little almost too pointy. I feel like it should have been subdued just a little bit. But the stance of it from an SUV coupe-ish profile, trying to look sporty in that X5, not X5, the X6, X4 realm, they did it. It looks good. It reminds me of like the Acura ZDX from before, not the current one now. And I don't know what it's going to have as far as power goes. It's electric completely. But in that realm, it depending on the price point, if they get it under 40,000 or 45,000. The people that are looking at Model Ys, the people that are looking at small compact SUVs that are electric or hybrid or anything else like that, this can be a viable option based off the looks alone. If they nail the interior and the price point, you will just win enough. You may win enough people off the looks alone because it doesn't look like everything else. Though it's not my cup of tea when it comes to electric SUVs in this fashion. And I would much prefer it to have been a sport compact car. But what I will say is they've done a better job than Mitsubishi. When they took the Eclipse Cross, that was terrible. Okay. It didn't even try to give you the experience of something else. So regardless, we don't know what the range is. We don't know what the power is. We don't know what the interior looks like. We don't know the price, but we do see that this prototype, as they call it, is basically the production. They may tweak a couple things. I still want to drive it. Acura, if you're listening, if you listen to this podcast, you want to talk to me, send me a vehicle to test out, I will gladly come to the RSX launch because I want to see what can we expect. Can we get over the name change? Are we going to still be happy with it? I like those type of cars because you can go to people that may know about it or don't know about the RSX and show them the previous one and this one to say, do you feel like you're missing out on something? Do you like this new direction? I bet you they've done some type of group conversation with people. And outside of the car enthusiasts like myself and everybody else who wants it to remain true to what it was before, I guarantee there's enough people that are going to come in there and be like, I mean, that's cool, but I wanted an SUV or I need to haul stuff or I want more space and people, and they're going to love it. Now, before I go, GR Corolla updates. Now, I didn't do anything on the car. I did shoot a quick little video with a company that sent me one of them tire inflators. They wanted to send me one. I kind of needed one. So I made a quick little short video, kind of funny of me driving the car, running out of air on the tire, pumping it up, showing how easy it is. Quick little video of the features and the stuff. So I put that on the YouTube channel and I'm working with them with like affiliate link in order to like promote the product because I like it. I mean, it works well. I mean, who can knock a portable tire inflator? Everybody needs one for some reason, whether it's filling up a basketball or a football or a bicycle, motorcycle, or car. It's easier to throw them in the back in case you need it. You got it. It runs on the battery, all those things that I said in the video. But we do have other things coming. My friend Hatchie Brew reached out to me actually tonight when I was recording this, talking about a company that wanted to get more exposure when it comes to a certain part they have. And they might want to work with me on my channel as far as the GR Corolla goes, which is good. That's what I like to do. I like to make sure my channel is that type of place. I haven't done another install video in a while. Like I've done more podcast episodes on there, but that's the whole point. I'm not trying to show you that it's bang, bang, bang every single week. There's going to be gaps, and in the gaps, we got the podcast. Other than that, this week, the channel, I actually doing a review on some cars from Hyundai that's coming this week. And I'm excited. I'm doing this to practice that muscle. I got in contact with a marketing director of a Hyundai dealership, and I'm gonna go over there on Wednesday. I'm gonna go test out some cars, review them, record them. I am I am changing the method and the way that I was doing the videos. Right when I went to the in spring, I went to a Texas Auto Writers Association event, my very first one. So I'm flying blind of how to do this, grassroots, camera in hand, talking, and it worked out well. I put up the videos; they got good views for what I wanted them to do. The shorts did good. Like I'm happy with everything I accomplished during that time, especially in one day. So this time, I want to get more into story. I like to look at people like Forest Review Drives, Mobile Mamas, Redline Reviews, Rady's Rides. I forgot there's another gentleman there. I think it's like Driver Source or Driven Source or something like that. And there is another person I follow, another is a black kid. I think he's like the cousin of Marquez Brownlee. I follow his videos as well too because he matches into that style I'm thinking of. Dude in Blue, just anybody that's reviewing cars, I follow all of them. And I look at what they're doing. I look at things like Top Gear episodes, and I look at people like Chris Harris. I like the narration story of talking about a car. Now, I do like putting down the stats, but I do not want to just reel them down. So I'm trying to find a happy medium between what I would like to do, adding my own character, my own flair to it, my own personality, and having kind of like a story. Like, me sitting in the cars in the backdrop and just discussing what this car is trying to achieve and what it's trying to do. I don't want to get try to overly technical about it. I want it to be kind of like a story. And then at the end, we're going to come to the podcast, another segue to the podcast, and get more in depth. Talk about what I feel about some things I couldn't get further into because I don't want the videos to go too long. I kind of want to hit this sweet spot of like 10 minutes to 15 minutes and just make something that feels concise and clear and shows you the features, shows you the things you're looking at, which I do understand that there is an angle of doing car reviews where you show everything. Because people like that too. That's very analytical. That's very methodical. That's very like, oh, let me show you everything it has. Because if you're car shopping, it helps you kind of visualize and see everything. So in the back of my head, I sometimes have those ideas where I want to introduce that idea and say, I want to give you all the stats, show you all the features, show you all the hidden gems. But then I want to tell a story too. So I have to find that balance where a consumer, a person looking at my video would say, I got the information I wanted to get, but he also told a good story and it was entertaining. I watched it to the end and then kind of pull them into the podcast and say, now let's get down to like some nitty gritty, right? I could take them in Roni, put it up on the screen and just talk to you and say, hey, here's what that model had that I was driving. Here's what I suspect. Here's what the other trim levels are. Just kind of give you a full breakdown. Similar to like when you're watching a TV show, like Gilded Age or something. It's a dope TV show. And then it ends and they say join the podcast for afterthoughts or things like that. Similar concept. So that's happening this week. Some stuff is still coming for the car. It's just taking some time to get here. But as I always say, do as you wish and do as you may. It's Cameron Biggs, your host, again from a not so put together podcast studio, but we're going to fix that later. Don't you worry. We're going to get that fixed. And until then, hope you all enjoyed this. I will see you all around next week. Peace.